to dream. This samsaric existence does appear to the deluded mind, yet when it is examined with discriminating awareness, nothing at all is found to have any intrinsic existence. So having come to an understanding where your mind does not dwell in the past, the future, or the present, we should recognize all phenomena as naturally free from any conceptual complexity. So, as you know, there are two truths. Sometimes we can say four truths, but four truths can be combined into two truths, which are known as the relative truth and ultimate truth. So, in the relative truth, there are existence, as we can all see, there are existence, but things are not truly existent. All things that we can see now or we can enjoy are like a dream. In our dream, we can see many different places, we can see many different people, but actually all these visions that we see in our dreams are projection of one's own mind. When we see a place, when we feel like we are in that particular place and meeting a friend, actually we are not there in person. We haven't been to that particular place in person in our dream. But we feel like we are there. We have been there. We feel like we are talking to that friend. But actually, we have not met this friend in person in our dream. But we feel like we have been there. We feel like we are meeting this friend. So it means, in reality, we are not actually there. In reality, we are not actually meeting that friend in our dream. We are just sleeping at that time. So it means we see this because our mind is deluded by sleep. When our mind is deluded by sleep, then we see all these illusions in our dreams. Actually, they are not there, but we just see it as an illusion. Similarly, this present daytime vision that we see now, we see many different places, we see many different peoples, etc., are also a projection of one's own mind, just like our dream. But we think this present life is not like a dream. This present life vision is real. But our dreams vision is not true. We do differentiate like this by our ordinary human mind. But actually, if we really analyze it thoroughly, then we will know the present life vision is also like a dream. There's no differences. But then why at present people cling to daytime vision as true and dreams vision as false? Because the daytime vision, the propensity of our daytime vision is more stronger, more solid. And the propensity of our dreams vision is not strong. Because of this, we differentiate between daytime vision and vision in our dreams. So all this vision that we see now actually is like a dream, like a magical show. Nothing is truly existent. So this is the nature of the relative truth. All are like a dream, like a magical show. But then in the ultimate truth, nothing is existing. The actual ultimate truth is something that we cannot describe through words, through examples, through logical reasons, or we cannot explain at all. But at present, we do explain about the ultimate truth. All the explanations that we do on the ultimate truth are all in the relative truth. Actual ultimate truth is something that is beyond our thoughts, beyond our words. It's a state that is inconceivable and inexpressible state. So actual ultimate truth is something that we cannot express. It is inexpressible. It is inconceivable. So here in the teaching it says, clinging to true existence in things and their characteristics is like perceiving water in mirage. When there's a hot weather, when there's sunshine and other conditions get together, then from far distance, it looks like we are seeing water. But actually, in that particular place, there's no water at that time. Due to these causes and conditions, we see the mirage, and we think the mirage as a water. But actually, there's no real water in that particular place. Mirage will not quench our thirst, because mirage is not the real water. So similarly, this samsaric existence does appear to the deluded mind. Yet when it's examined with discriminating awareness, or with discriminating awareness means with wisdom, the definition of our wisdom is known as discriminating awareness. So if we examine the phenomena or the things through our discriminating awareness, then we can't find anything. We can't find that is existing. So it means the actual reality is not something that we can think of. It is unthinkable. Then it says, so having come to an understanding where your mind does not dwell in the past, the future or the present, you should recognize all phenomena as naturally free from any conceptual complexity. So mind does not dwell in the past, the future, or the present. The past is already ceased. The future mind is yet to come. The present mind is also changing momentarily. It is not something that will remain for a long time. So in the relative truth, there's a present mind that is like a dream. But in the ultimate truth, there's no true existent mind. There's a dream-like mind in the relative truth which is existing, but there's no true existent mind in both relative and the ultimate truth. The actual true existent mind is not there in the both relative and ultimate truth. So here, mainly it talks about the ultimate truth. So in the ultimate truth, we can't find anything. And this ultimate truth is very important. Without realizing this ultimate truth, we cannot liberate from the whole samsara. Because to be free from the whole samsara, we need to realize the selflessness directly. And to realize the selflessness, we need to know the ultimate truth. Without knowing the ultimate truth, or actually the selflessness itself is part of ultimate truth. So without this, we cannot be free from the suffering of samsara. So through these reasons, with examples, then if we can remove these four attachments. So in the teaching it says, if you act in this way, by relinquishing attachment to this life, there will be no more rebirth in the lower realms. Yeah, if we remove attachment to this life, if we can overcome the attachment to this life, then there will be no more rebirth in the lower realms. And by relinquishing attachment to the three realms of samsara, there will be no more rebirth in samsaric existence. So it means if you don't have attachment to the samsara, then there's no more rebirth in the samsaric existence. Not just by having intellectual understanding we can be free from the samsaric existence, but it means if we realize that there's a great fault in the attachment to the samsara, then gradually we can overcome the suffering of the samsara, so that we can be free from taking rebirth in the samsara again and again. So until samsara ends, until we are free from this samsara, we won't be free from the sufferings of samsara. So to be free from this samsara, we need to realize that there's no existence. So if we realize the true nature of the samsara, which is full of suffering, then we don't have attachment. Then without having attachment to the samsara, we want a rebirth in the samsaric existence. Here, relinquishing attachment means not just having the intellectual understanding on the faults of the samsara. So first we need to study that, then contemplate on this, and then gradually we should meditate. And then through the power of our own meditation on this, then finally we can be liberated from the ocean of samsara, then there is no rebirth in samsaric existence. And it says, by relinquishing attachment to your own self-interest, there will be no more rebirths as a Shavakas or Patyaka Buddha. So if we can remove this attachment to the self-interest, there will be no more rebirth as a Sharavaka or Patyaka Buddha. When we don't have the self-interest, then we don't want to have a goal for our own purpose. Normally we say Shavakas and Patyaka Buddhas, it's a goal for us to set for one's own purpose. When we don't have self-interest, then we don't want to achieve Shavaka and Patyaka Buddhas. Our interest is on other sentient beings. So when we emphasize on other sentient beings, then we wish to attain Buddhahood for the sake of all the sentient beings without any exception. Then it says, finally, through abandoning any clinging to reality in things and their characteristics, you will swiftly attain complete and perfect Buddhahood. Yeah, if we can remove the clinging thoughts or the grasping thoughts towards the phenomena, then one can swiftly attain complete and perfect Buddhahood. So to attain Buddhahood, we need to have departing from the four attachments. Without this, we cannot gain liberation, we cannot attain Buddhahood. So these four, not being attached to the present life, not being attached to the three realms of existence, not being attached to the self-interest, and not clinging to some true reality in things and their characteristics. So these four are very important. So with this departing from the four attachment teaching, which is explained by the Sakya Pandita, is completed. I think now I can take some questions.
Yes,
before I start the next teaching.
So I have two questions, please. About the fourth attachment, they say that if I understand that the mind does not dwell in the past, future, present, I should recognize that all phenomena is free from sexuality. Maybe Rinpoche will repeat it in the answer. They don't hear. So I will be free from conceptuality. Just a minute, please. The reason is that because there's nothing to dwell, because I understand that the mind as a phenomena, I understand that there's nothing there to dwell. Why, if I understand that the mind cannot dwell in past, present, future, I understand that the real nature of phenomena is non-conceptual? Is it because I find out that there's nothing to dwell, nothing inherently or to existing to? Why? Why this understanding will lead to the understanding that all phenomena, the true nature of phenomena is free from any conceptuality? That's one question. Simple.
So he means what is the relationship between mind is not dwelling in past, present, future, and actual ultimate truth?
Yes, how does it lead to the understanding of ultimate truth?
knowing there's no duality or no dwelling of the mind in the past, future, and present. Yeah. Actually, object and subject are interdependent. It's like a right hand and left hand. Without right, there's no left. Without left, there's no right. Right and left, short and tall, are interdependent to each other. So similarly, subject and object are also interdependent to each other. So if there's no mind, if you cannot find a mind, then it means there's no phenomena, no object. For example, if there's no mind in our dream, then there's no dream. Then we can't see many different places, or we can't meet many different people in our dream. Because there's a mind, then we can see different dreams. So in our daily life, if there's no mind, then there's no object, no phenomena. So if you cannot find a mind that is dwelling in the past, present, or future, find a true existent mind in the ultimate truth. We cannot find that mind. So when we cannot find that true existent mind in the ultimate truth, in all these three times, past, present, future, then it means there's no phenomena. So when there's no phenomena, then if you cling as a phenomena, then it's like a clinging water in a mirage. So that leads you to understand the ultimate truth.
And the second question, please. When I first read the first three attachments, I thought that the first one is included in the second one and the second one in the third, and actually we should have had only the third and the fourth. Why do we need all the four, all the first three? Then you made the difference between bodhicitta and on the third one. Yes, if I lose self-interest, does it mean that I won't be born as in the wishing for nirvana, for self-liberation? Does this mean bodhicitta? That I develop, if I lose the attachment, if I part from the attachment to my self-interest, does it mean that I attain bodhicitta, or not yet? Or it doesn't mean? When do I lose the interest of the attachment for self-interest? When I get bodhicitta, or it doesn't, or before that? And do I need the first two? What do they add? If I lose, what is the difference between attachment to this life and attachment to the samsara? Isn't it the same thing for me? And for self-interest, isn't it? Don't the first two included in self-interest? Because if I'm attached to my self-interest, I'm attached to my life, I'm attached to my pleasures. Isn't it all included in the attachment to self-interest?
Actually, attachment to this life or samsara or self-interest, all are part of the samsara. But then we explain in detail in this way so that it's easier for us to overcome the defilements, overcome the negative thoughts. Because we choose or we categorize into this way, so that by not having attachment to this life, then you think this life is not important, this life is impermanent. It indirectly shows the difficulty of obtaining the precious human life, and impermanence and death. And third, the second one, having attachment to the samsara, this indirectly shows the cause and effect. The suffering, the samsara means the feeling, the suffering of the samsara. Samsara refers to the suffering of the samsara. And the suffering of the samsara is caused by action. Without cause, there's no suffering. Without the action, without the negative action, there's no suffering of the samsara. So in the second line, it directly shows the shortcomings of the samsara, and indirectly it shows the law of karma, or the cause and effect. And then the third attachment, which is self-interest, and that one indirectly shows loving kindness and compassion, and also bodhicitta. So therefore we need these first three lines separately. And then your second question is, what is the connection between not having attachment to the self-interest and bodhicitta, yeah?
Yes.
So the answer is, these two are opposite thoughts. Self-interest means selfish thought, just emphasizing on our own self-interest. Bodhicitta means not emphasizing on self-interest. Bodhicitta means to emphasize on others' welfare and well-being. So these two are two opposite thoughts. Bodhicitta means we to help every sentient being and not focus on ourselves alone. Selfish thought or self-interest means not focusing on others' welfare, just focus on oneself, one's own interest, one's own welfare. So these two are opposite thoughts. So selfish thought is the greatest obstacle for us to develop the bodhicitta. If there's a selfish thought, then we can't have a proper bodhicitta.
So just one clarification, please. They say that if I part from the interest for the attachment for self-interest, I will not be born as a hearer or a Buddha. So it's not enough that through this practice, I want to develop loving kindness and compassion, but I stay. Oh, that's enough to not to be born as a Shavaka or Pratyesha Buddha. Practical Buddha. That's enough. I don't need to develop bodhicitta in order to do that. That's enough. It's good. If I develop loving kindness and compassion, if I develop bodhicitta, I can understand why I will not be born as a hearer or self-realizer. But if I develop bodhicitta, if I develop only compassion and loving kindness, and not yet bodhicitta, if I practice this text, my aim is Buddhahood, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So if I haven't attained bodhicitta yet, only I'm on the way and I develop compassion and loving kindness, that's not enough for me to not to be born as a hearer or self-realizer, right? Mm-hmm. I need to attain bodhicitta in order to do. Am I right? Thank you.
Because Shell workers and particles of Buddha, although they are free from the samsara, but they don't. Then the goal is not to help all the sentient beings. Their wish is just to gain liberation from the samsara. So, just to gain liberation, you also don't need to have infinite loving kindness or infinite compassion. Without infinite, although they do have loving kindness and compassion, but without infinite loving kindness and compassion, they can still gain liberation from the samsara. But that part is what we call as an incomplete part or incomplete result. It is only helping oneself alone and not helping other sentient beings. And such a result is not enough, especially for bodhisattva practitioner. It is not right to just to satisfy with such goal or such result. As a bodhisattva, we must attain Buddha for the sake of all the sentient beings through the practice of loving kindness, compassion, and bodhicitta, etc. Say loudly.
How do you meditate in order to accomplish how do you meditate in order to accomplish not clinging to reality?
How we meditate?
On the fourth one.
On the fourth one. I think first it is better and safer to emphasize on the relative truth. First, we just meditate on the relative truth, which means all existence are like a dream, like a magical show. Nothing is truly existent. And then step by step, we can emphasize more on the ultimate truth. The actual ultimate truth is something that we cannot describe. All the description that we have on the ultimate truth is in the relative truth. The actual ultimate truth is something that is beyond any words and thoughts. So when we do meditate on this, we should do this without any thoughts, without any clinging. Just keep your mind relaxed and just focus, or not just pay attention without any thoughts. Just remain in the ultimate truth. That is more difficult to practice. So first, it's far better and safer to emphasize on the relative truth, meditating on the relative truth.
I have a question about when you were saying about to accept reality as it is, that people are dying and it's like that, and to see how things are like that and accept it for what it is. I was wondering about on attachment and stuff like that. If you are fighting for something, even though sometimes you're not enjoying the process in the way, but you're fighting for a very important case, like I don't know, like Martin Luther King or something like that. And I mean, you don't accept the things the way they are, and you fight in order to change them, even though your life sometimes is not, happy because of that, and you can even lose your life for it. But you did fight, and you made a change in the world because of that, for the better, for those people that you are kind of leading them. Or I don't know, there is a lot of examples, I guess. So how does the Buddhistic way of looking at it see that? I mean, because it's not to say well, this is the reality and you see how I can handle it, but it is to go against it in a way, Or I don't know, maybe I'm a bit confused in that way, but it's just I was thinking about it, to try to understand how this how I see it in the Buddhistic way, or in like if you're fighting for something, so you go even if you don't. I don't know. I guess I'm kind of like mixing myself. Did you understand it? My question, or I wasn't so clear.
Yeah, I think your question is fighting for better result. Yeah. So on that process, you need to fight. You need to be kind of sometimes negative, need a negative thought in order to achieve this result. Is that your question?
Yeah, not just act in a negative way, but also like acting when you are not feeling, you're handling a very stressful situation. I guess you're not so happy all the time about that, and you sometimes have to do things, in order to take care of the people that you're kind of leading, and and you have to go against the things that are, you're not taking this as granted, and you go and you fight for it, you don't accept the things the way they are, and you try to change it.
Like Mahatma Gandhi, for example.
Yeah, also.
He made a change. Mahatma Gandhi.
Ah,
He made a change in society.
Or Martin Luther King for the black people.
yeah. But the process is not right, you said. You said the process to make
get
this
to
change.
this point, you have to not take things like this. You have to go and fight for them. You have to. You don't accept it. You go and you fight. And sometimes during the way, the process is not good for you. To Martin Luther King, it cost him his life. But he acted like against the reality. We changed it in a way. So like sometimes I'm trying to think, what's the combination between like when you're talking about try to understand the world as it is, try to see how it is, and accept things and see how we can, live our life without being angry or being disappointed from the things that are going on, and I don't know, sometimes I kind of get questions about what is the right way to operate, with that, to not be a bit angry for that, to act from, not let the anger consume, but to try to change from that, I don't know. I'm just thinking about it.
Are you here last night?
No, I couldn't.
Okay.
Sorry.
So actually last time I said sometimes the action can be classified into 4 types. Default action, the reflection of the fault action, and faultless action, and the reflection of the faultless action. Therefore, this is one way of categorizing the actions. So in that, I think what you are saying is like reflection of the fault action. Your goal is good, your intention is good, but the way you act to achieve this goal is not so peaceful sometimes. Sometimes it can be negative. So it all depends on your motivation or intention. With the right intention, even though your actual action is not so peaceful, not so positive, but still that action can be a positive action. For example, when the teacher scolds the students, the teacher is scolding the students not out of anger. It should be like that actually. Teacher should scold the students not out of anger, but out of love and care and affection, in order to improve the students' education, in order to improve the students' attitude. For that purpose, if teacher scolds the students with loving kindness and compassion, then although it looks like teacher is very harsh to the students, but actually that action is positive action. We call this as a a reflection of the fault action. Actually, it's not real fault action. It looks like fault action, but it is not real fault action. Is it like that?
It's part of it, I guess. It's like when I have sometimes conversation with my friends, they're like, well, life is like this, so things is like this, and it's like this. So even if you fight, you're going against the way that it's supposed to be, or everything has its own, karma or stuff like that. So you shouldn't, So sometimes, I'm wondering, about that, because when people fight for something, so they could change things, and sometimes, the answers that you get is like, this is like this, it's karma and things are like that, so you shouldn't act, or I don't know. Sometimes just, I'm wondering about those things. But I'm being frustrated about the reality.
Where is the middle way between changing and not being violent and trying to make a change? Even sometimes it doesn't feel very nice. That's what you mean. That's how can you change the world a little bit, not transform it, but change it without being violent, still with loving kindness? This point is very complex to get to this state, to get mind state.
Actually, we can control our own mind. The most important is try to control our own mind. We cannot control others' mind totally. We can influence others, we can help others, but we cannot control others' mind. We have the ability to control our own mind fully, but at present, it is difficult for us to control others' mind fully. So, like the change, we need to change from others. We need to make a change from others, or to transform, or to change. We need to depend on others. One person cannot change everything. It is the truth. One person cannot change everything that is happening in this world. So, first, it is important to control our own mind, to change our negative mind into positive mind. And based on this positive thought or positive mind, then try to help others as much as possible. We cannot say we will change all the beings from our own action. Buddha himself said, Buddha will show you the path, what is the right way and what is the wrong way. But whether you can gain liberation or not depends on yourself. It's not like we can do anything. We do many negative actions. Then Buddha just come here and miraculously Buddha save us again and give us the liberation. It's not like that. It depends on our own karma and our own or our own action. So we have to change our own mind or mental status first, then try to change it or influence others as much as possible. But we cannot change everything by our own. And sometimes to change this nation or to change this world, we need to appeal, we need to make the awareness. And sometimes people do take violent way, and that violent way is not so much advisable, because violent way can take our own life. Not only that, but through violence, we are not sure that we can make this change. Normally, anger cannot make a peaceful world. So when you make a violent, it means you are doing this out of anger. Like very violent actions can be motivated by anger. So something that are motivated by anger is not a way to spread the peace, not a way to make this world a peaceful world. violence or the anger is always the cause of suffering. Anger is never the cause of the peaceful world or happiness. Shall I start?
Yes, please.
Now, I will give the explanation on parting from the four attachments again. This time, based on Jason Tabai Gelson's commentary text on the parting from the four attachments, which is on page 16 and 17, and 18, 19 in English, and then I think Hebrew on 20 onwards, yeah?
Yes.
Yes. In Hebrew, 23 to 20, from right to left.
Oh,
It's from right to left. So
23 down.
okay. Okay. So, Jason Tabai Gelson first paid homage, saying, "Oh Master, with all your kindness." So, Jason Tabai Gelson's main master or the main guru or main teacher is Sajjan Gunga Nyingbo, is the principal of the five founding masters. Oh Master, with all your kindness, Yidam deity. Yidam means deity. With your compassion, if in you I take refuge from the depths of my heart, grant me your blessings, I pray. So, normally it's custom to pay homage in the beginning of writing a text or beginning of composing a text for all the authors. It is customary to pay homage. And then next one is promise to compose. By making a promise to compose, then the action of composing a text will be able to continue without any interruption, or one will not change our mind. First, we want to compose, and then in the middle of the text, we want to stop and we don't want to compose. Not like that. Once you promise to compose, then it will continue. It will have a perfect ending. So for that purpose and for other purpose, we need to have a promise to compose. Behavior that goes against the Dharma must be stopped. I think sometimes our culture and Buddhist culture or Buddhist tradition sometimes. So whatever we do is not always according to the Buddhist teaching. Sometimes our way of doing it is influenced by our own mundane culture, mundane tradition. So some of our cultures or our attitude is against Dharma. So that kind of culture, that kind of behavior must be stopped. And so, in order to practice the Dharma correctly, here's the instruction on parting from the four attachments. which now I shall offer to your ears. It is important to practice Dharma in a correct way. It is important to practice Dharma in a pure way. As I said before, just by practicing Dharma is not enough. We need to practice on Dharma, on authentic teaching, but we also need the highest intention or highest motivation to practice the Dharma. If you don't have the highest intention, if you don't check ourselves, our intention, then sometimes it can deceive ourselves. It can deceive, for example, some might think that I have not wasted my life. I have spent all my life in the Dharma practice, like by receiving teachings, by meeting many high lamas and receiving many teachings from the high lamas, and studied the Dharma for many, many years, and also practiced the Dharma for many, many years, and also having done retreat for many years, etc. So, although these actions are good, but just by doing this, we cannot say certain that that person has not wasted the whole life. Although by doing all these things, sometimes or in many occasions, people are doing this with attachment to this life, with attachment to the samsara, with attachment to the self-interest. Then, if we have done all these good actions with the wrong intention, like attachment to this life, etc., then it is not meaningful action. It is not completely wasted, but it is not meaningful action. So actually we have not done any great things. Although we have spent lots of years in our study and practice on Dharma, but we have not done good practice. By doing all these things for many years, still we are not a Dharma practitioner. If you don't have the right intention, by doing all these Dharma practices for many years, still we are not a Dharma practitioner. Because we don't have the right intention, we don't have the right motivation to practice Dharma. So it means real Dharma practitioner is coming not just from what teaching that we practice, what practice that we do, but it also comes from our own intention. If our practice is, if our teaching on which we are practicing is authentic, but at the same time, if our own intention is not right, or motivation is not right, then our action becomes not a perfect action. So, first now I will read the 4 lines. It says, if you are attached to this life, you are not a true spiritual practitioner. If you are attached to samsara, you have no renunciation. If you are attached to your own self-interest, you have no bodhicitta. If there is grasping, you do not have to view. So first, Jidun Thapa Johnson explains about the first line. The great Indian master called Acharya Vasubandu, in his teaching or in his text called Abhidhamma Kosha, he said, based on pure moral conduct, then we should study, contemplate, and meditate. So this structure is something that we can apply to all the yanas, to all the Buddhist path. This is a general structure or basic structure that we can apply to all these Buddhist schools. So, in the commentary on the first line of teaching, Jidun Thapa Gyaltsen, based on this structure, and explains. First, he explains about the moral conduct. Actually, in the text itself, it says, relinquishing attachment to this life. The first step is to relinquish attachment to this life. Discipline, study, study, reflection, and meditation. Or in other words, pure moral conduct, study, contemplation, and meditation. It says, undertaken for the sake of just this life, give them all up, for they are not the Dharma. This structure is very important, but if you do this, or if you follow this structure with a base on having attachment to this life, then it is not real Dharma practice. So therefore, we should give up all these practices which are based on having attachment to this life. So now, Jidun Thapa explains about the about this structure. Based on this structure, all these four: the moral conduct or discipline, study and contemplation or reflection, and meditation. All these four have proper ones and improper ones. So first, Jidun Thapa Gyaltsen about the proper discipline or the proper moral conduct. He says, to begin with, to practice discipline is to possess the cause for reaching higher realms, the stairway to liberation, and the remedy that eliminates suffering. Without discipline, nothing is possible. The pure discipline is the cause for reaching higher realms. We can take rebirth in the higher realms through the practice of moral conduct, and not just through the practice of generosity. Although you are not a good person, but if you can give materials to others, but then still you won't be able to gain higher rebirth in your next life. So if you are a good person and if you are practicing the pure moral conduct, or if you are keeping the pure moral conduct, although you don't emphasize too much on practice of generosity, still you can take rebirth in the higher realms. So the main cause to obtain precious human life is not any kind of virtues. The main cause of obtaining the precious human life is to practice discipline, to practice moral conduct. Such moral conduct, keeping such moral conduct with the right intention, right motivation, is the cause for reaching higher realms. The stairway to liberation. It means if we keep the moral conduct purely, or if we have good discipline, then it will lead us to gain liberation. So keeping good discipline is like a stairway to liberation. It's like the way to the liberation, path to the liberation. So human being has the best chance to gain liberation because human beings can keep the moral conduct, which has many precepts. We need to keep all these precepts. And through this, then we can gain liberation. So when one keeps good discipline, it means we are not doing harmful actions. Good discipline means not harming others through our physical action, through our verbal action, and through our mental action. So good discipline is based on not harming others, not harming any sentient beings. So if you don't harm others, if you don't have ill will thoughts towards others, then it becomes the stairway to gain liberation from whole samsara. And the remedy that eliminates suffering. If we really keep the moral conduct, then it means we are abstaining from doing negative actions. So without doing negative actions, we can't experience the suffering. Suffering is a result of doing negative actions. Without the cause, there is no result in any field or in any kinds of things. The result must have its own cause and conditions. Because of this, then we can gain the result. So if we don't do negative actions, then it means we can eliminate the suffering. So discipline means not doing negative actions. And because of this, then we can eliminate the sufferings. So it says, and the remedy that eliminates suffering. So it means discipline is a remedy that eliminates suffering. Without discipline, nothing is possible. So discipline is very important. Actually, we can divide the discipline into three, like physical discipline, verbal discipline, and mental discipline. the most important thing or the discipline is mental discipline. If we can control our mind, if we can discipline our mind, or if we can train our mind, then we can tame physical and verbal actions, or we can discipline our physical and verbal actions. It is not possible to defeat all our external enemies, or all the fearful enemies or fearful animals like tiger, snake, lions, and other fearful animals. But if we can defeat our own unruled mind, or if we can tame our negative mind, then through this we can also tame lions and other fearful animals. And not only that, we can also tame the fearful messengers of the hell realms, which means when you are very disciplined, when your mind is very disciplined, or when your mind is very tamed or subdued, then even the fearful animals will not attack you, will not attack on you. Because if we get attacked, then it means we will suffer. And when we don't have negative actions, then it means we will not suffer, because there's no cause for us to suffer or to experience suffering. So when we are pure, when our negative actions are purified, or when we don't have negative actions, then we will not receive attack from the fearful animals. They will also respect, even though they are animals, but still they can respect us. For example, when Shakyamuni Buddha is doing meditation before attaining Buddhahood in Bodh Gaya, he was attacked by Maras, by the evil spirits. They tried to disturb his meditation by manifesting many beautiful girls to distract his meditation. But he's very stable in his meditation. He was not disturbed. And then also they tried to throw many sharpful weapons towards Buddha in order to disturb his meditation. But they cannot attack on Buddha, but instead Buddha defeat them. The way Buddha defeat them is not through weapons, not through harmful actions, not through aggressive actions, but through the loving kindness, to the power of loving kindness and compassion. He defeated all these maras or evil spirits. So when these evil spirits or maras throw sharpful weapons to him, all these sharpful weapons became or transformed into flowers, garlands of flowers or flowers. This is the power of loving kindness. So through this way, he defeat the maras. So if our mind is tamed, if our mind is subdued, then we can defeat all others, or we don't need to fear to others. So without discipline, nothing is possible. We need to keep discipline. The main thing is mental discipline. If we have mental discipline, then rest will come naturally. If our mind is tame, then naturally our physical and verbal actions are also tamed. So therefore, it is very important to know what is the main action that we need to do. The main action is our mental action. Actually, the mind is something that is very powerful, yet we cannot see the mind in any color or in any shape or in any size. Yet this mind is very powerful. It is the mind that commits negative actions. It is the mind that performs virtuous deeds. It is the mind that experiences happiness or suffering. It is the mind that will go or that can go down in the lower realm. It is the mind that can attain liberation or fully enlightenment state. So although mind is not in a form, but this mind is very powerful. So if we can tame our mind, then naturally everything can be tamed. In the teaching it says, it is not possible to cover whole land by a ladder. But just covering the soles of the shoe by a ladder, it is like covering the whole earth or whole land by a ladder, because then wherever you go, you are going on the ladder. So it's like covering the whole land by a ladder. So similarly, it is not possible to defeat all the external enemies. But if you defeat our own enemies, our own anger, our own negative thoughts, then it is like defeating all the external enemies. So that's why defeating the unrolled mind or subduing the unrolled mind is very important. So if one's mind is tamed, then even the fearful animals, they will also not attack on ourselves. So without discipline, nothing is possible. Without discipline, one cannot do a proper practice. Without discipline, one cannot eliminate suffering. Without discipline, one cannot adopt the right remedy to eliminate the suffering. Without discipline, one cannot gain liberation. Without discipline, one cannot gain or attain Buddhahood for the sake of all the sentient beings. So without discipline, nothing is possible. So up to here, Jason Gelson explains about the proper discipline with the proper motivation. Then the next point is improper discipline. It says, but if it is observed out of attachment to this life, you have the root cause of the 8 worldly concerns. 8 worldly concerns means I don't want, or I want happiness. Myself, my sight wants happiness. Myself, my sight wants to receive respect. And myself and my sight wish to receive a pleasant speech, and myself and others, myself, my side, wish to receive praise, and other side, like enemy's side and his side, we wish them to experience suffering. We wish them to disrespect others. We wish them to receive harsh words. We wish them to receive unpleasant speech. So these are called the 8 worldly concerns, which are the obstacles of our spiritual path. These 8 worldly concerns will tie you in the samsara, will not liberate you from the samsara, but will tie you in the samsara. So as long as there are 8 worldly concerns, we are in the samsara. So if we keep the discipline with the attachment to this life, then it is the root cause of the 8 worldly concerns. You criticize those with poor conduct, which means when our motivation is not right, then it means we are not tamed, our mind is not subdued. So because of this wild mind that we have, out of this wild mind, we criticize those with poor conduct, those with poor physical conduct and poor verbal conduct. And it says you are envious of the truly disciplined, which means we invade those who keep good discipline with good intention or good motivation. Or we feel jealousy towards them. And it says it turns your own discipline into mere hypocrisy, which means our discipline is not a real discipline. It's a superficial discipline, because although we might have good physical and verbal discipline, but at the same time, our mind is not subdued, or we don't have mental discipline. So without the mental discipline, how can we have real discipline? It is not possible. So if we keep physical and verbal discipline with wrong intention or with wrong motivation, then it becomes a superficial discipline or mere hypocrisy. And it sows the seed of birth in the lower realms. Keeping such superficial discipline is the cause of going down in the lower realms. So give up this fake and fabricated discipline. It says fake or fabricated because we don't have the right intention to keep the good discipline. Because of this, and then it becomes fake, it becomes fabricated, it becomes superficial. So it is very important for all of us to keep moral conduct in a pure way, with the right intention, with the right motivation. If you keep with a wrong intention, if you keep with a untamed mind, then what happened is that through this superficial discipline, instead of reducing the defilements or negatives, it caused to rise more and more negative thoughts. Like, for instance, because of this superficial discipline, we have jealousy, or we invade others who keep good discipline, and we show disrespect, or we criticize those with poor discipline. So these negative thoughts can arise in our mind because we don't have the tamed mind, or we don't have the right intention. So if we keep superficial discipline, it causes us to develop, or it causes us to cultivate the jealousy or disrespect to others, which is not right. If we criticize others with wrong intention, then it means we are not doing the right action. We are not taming our mind. Instead, we try to be a more unrolled mind. So it's important to have a good discipline, especially it's important to have a good mental discipline. So I think with this, we will have a break now, and then I will continue later.